vote.
That'll just, for the two people watching at home, that'll really get them going. There you go. Well, now, the camera kind of going like this. Oh, that was a 5.8 on the Richter scale. Whoa, hey.
Isn't there some kind of water on that thing that?
Yeah, that's good enough. John won't be in it tonight, so he's safe. I'm not playing with that anymore. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Canterbury Board of Selectmen special meeting. It's February 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. In attendance, Mark Weeks, John Lane, and Judy, as usual, taking the minutes. Just as a note, the last time we got moved to Wednesday because of the holiday on Monday. This time we got moved to Wednesday because the town hall was closed on Monday. I think at this rate, we might as well just move the meetings to Wednesday. It seems to be a pattern, but that's all right. We'll be fine. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is approved minutes from January 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes, amendments? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye, okay. And we have a long list of tax refunds this week, A through G. So we have 7 tax refunds. They're all from 3-4000. And just I'll run down in order. We have Durning, David and Erica, $2,910.60. Stimson, Thane, $2,045.96. Rosati, Kevin, Robert, and Michelle Lynn, $2,209.68. Harris and Lisa, $121.26. Mayu, Gwen, 36-96. A-Car Leasing, $414.48, and A-Car Leasing, $262.95. So we have a motion to approve these tax refunds from line 3-4000. So second, okay, all in favor? Aye. Third item, Nancy Belden, and she had submitted her letter of resignation from the library board. And I will say this, I've had great fun working with Nancy. She was their CIP representative, and so for the past, I want to say 4, maybe 5 years, if not longer, we've been working together on the capital improvement committee, and she's been very valuable on that. She's helped as we sort of have tried to kind of renew that and bring that committee into a different direction. She's been very supportive in that, so I'll miss working with her on that. Her insights were always valuable and appreciated, but she stepped down from the library board, and we received a letter of interest from Caitlin Orlomowski, and it's a long letter that Caitlin wrote. I'm not going to read it, but I think Caitlin would be a good choice to fill that slot on the library board. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Caitlin Orlomowski to the Canterbury Library Board of Trustees for a term ending, it's 11/16/2021.
So moved.
All right, any discussion?
Well, Moskies have been synonymous with the library throughout the years, so keep it going.
Keep it going, sounds good. All right, all in favor?
Was there anybody else that submitted a letter? Or?
No, there wasn't, this was the only one, so, and it works out, it fills the seat, it was a Democratic seat, and Caitlin's a Democrat, so we have to make sure everything's on the up and up there, so.
I don't know if that bothers you anymore.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great, so we'll have Natalie inform Caitlin that she's been appointed. And, yeah, we look forward to her input on that board as well. Yeah, like Mark said, the Orlomoski's, you're synonymous with that library. Bobby spent many years there. Next, item number 4, we have adjusted building permit fees, and I included a copy of the town ordinance that was enacted a little while ago, which essentially spells out that on January 1st, 2021 or thereabouts, the Board of Selectmen have the authority to adjust the town of Canterbury's building permit fees in line with the consumer price index. So I pulled the consumer price index, which from the Bureau of Labor Statistics was showing 1.6 for the year 2020, and I made the adjustments to the current building permit fee. So that, as it is now for residential, it's $11.26 per thousand of estimated cost currently, and that would go to $11.44 with a minimum fee being $11.44. And on commercial building permits, it's $15.26 currently per 1,000 of estimated cost, and that would rise to by 24 cents to $15.50 per estimated $1,000 of cost. So we have a motion to approve those adjustments to the building permit fees.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
When was the last time it was adjusted?
It wasn't. This is new, because when we redid the ordinance and the ordinance passed, we put this adjustment in so we keep pace with inflation. Prior to that, they were set and then forgotten about for, we're rarely if ever adjusted. So when the ordinance passed, it was written as such so we could keep pace with inflation. So this is new this year.
So it says that it's gonna be adjusted beginning this year,
Yeah.
right?
And I forget when the new ordinance passed. It's at least 3 years ago, I think. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
May 20th, 2016, at a town meeting. May
Okay,
2016.
so 4 years ago.
I guess I'm
yeah.
just questioning, so you have 1.6% and you have in here in the package, the Bureau of Labor Statistics
Yeah.
that has it 1.6% over the year, but then I'm reading the ordinance and it says that if the change in the CPI or other official measurement of inflation used by the town indicates an increase of less than 1% since the last adjustment, there shall be no increase.
Right.
If it indicates an increase of 1% or more since the last adjustment, then they'll increase by the cumulative percentage increase since the last adjustment of fees. But we don't know when the last adjustment was.
No, but I'm thinking since this is the first year, we just take the prior year and then run forward, and starting from each year after this, it's just gonna be pretty much straight on pulling that CPI figure in December for the year, or January for the year, and then running it out.
I think just because it got waylaid, hinder us picking it up now.
Yeah.
We should have voted before we discussed. That's all right.
Well, we'll go around in circles. We'll get to it, yeah.
But just because no action's been taken before doesn't mean that it precludes us from doing it now. You gotta start sometime.
Yeah, and the way the ordinance was spelled out, it's starting here on January 2021. So I take that to say from the following year's CPI number and then carrying it forward. I'm not gonna look back 4 years and do that. That sort of, it would be probably about a 4% increase, because you're looking at, I think, each year, the increase has been somewhere in the range of 1.5, 1.6% each year. That's sort of been steady for a number of years now.
So just to be clear then, your reading of the ordinance is that because it contemplates an annual change based on the change in the CPI over that year, that we're using a 1-year
Yeah.
marker for this one.
Yeah, sort of like, that's my reading on it. I could be wrong, but I think to me it makes sense. And then for each year, it'll just follow on. All right, so we had a motion, we didn't have a second, we had a comment. So we have a second? All right, and now we'll go to discussion, or we've had discussion.
I can't bring myself to second a motion without having the discussion first.
I know, Jay, you're lucky we're a loosely run
You always look at me to
organization
second,
here.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna start making you second every time I have a question. I'm just gonna-
All right,
Well, if we don't wanna get into, we just quickly move on.
yeah, sure.
Right, yeah. You want me to shut up, you just do your thing.
No, you
Leave the lonely
can.
Democrat.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. Who wouldn't do that?
No, we're more, I tell you what, I think it's interesting, because I think, having looked at some of these boards in the past, we're probably, one of the most inclusive groups that there has been for selectmen in recent history, but anyway. Yeah, that's right, the most inclusive group of has-beens, yeah. All right, all in favor of increasing the building permit fees as spelled out, say aye. Aye, all right, thank you. We'll have Missy make the updates to her paperwork on that. I'm not actually paying for new printing, she'll be very busy putting pencil through it, but we'll get the updates out. Number 5 is a EMPG supplemental grant. This is the Emergency Management Performance Grant. The standard grant on this is $5,000 that we get, of which we match that goes towards our Emergency Management Director programs, salary and activities. There's a EMPG supplemental grant that was issued this year, and that's value of $12,907.50, half of which is federal funding. The other half is from the state in-kind matching, so there's no contribution from the town. But I just need approval to bring this to the Board of Finance, because this is a new grant, to accept this grant, and they can create a line for it in the a revenue line for it, an expenditure line for it. So this money can then be expended within the parameters of the grant, and so that's that. So do we have approval for me to pass this to the Board of Finance to accept and to create a revenue and expenditure line?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We'll put that on their next meeting. School financial audit report, and I'm gonna point at Mark.
Yeah, that we went over.
The tri-board meeting, yeah.
I thought it was pretty milquetoast. I think it was a feeble attempt to address our concerns, but if you guys wanna let it go, I'll heed to the group, but I expect much better out of them in the future. I don't think any of us ever thought we were really gonna get a smoking gun. I think there were probably several, but it's time, I guess, to just let it go. And at some point, I've said this before, I still think we need as a town a management team, not necessarily the school, because that's like putting the box in charge of the hen house, I think, to monitor $12 million in funds, not by part-time people or whatever else. And then they come to find out, I don't know if anybody's even bonded up there to handle the money.
Yeah, and that we got an answer to.
Yeah,
They're covered.
they
Underneath,
covered under there.
under their crime insurance policy, they're covered
By individual or by?
by
client?
individuals and by, their crime insurance policy covers each person who's gonna be,
No.
liable. So, yeah, we checked with our insurance carrier on that, and we checked with our insurance, Dan Anderson, who's our consultant, he also works for the school, and they're covered on
So
that.
that's through the school's
Yeah.
insurance, because the other night he said
Right,
the town
right.
covered that.
That's
We
covered,
came
yeah.
around and we found the town didn't.
Yeah, we also found out at the same time, interestingly enough, we also found out at the same time, because Natalie is required to be bonded.
Yes,
However, we do not have to bond Lori because she is covered under our crime policy that we have. So we could actually cancel the bonding that we have for Lori and she'd be covered underneath our crime policy, and that would give us the same coverage, that we would get with her being bonded. So we found that out, so I'm not sure what the bonding for Lori costs each year, but, that's something we're gonna look at.
I do know in years past, it used to be by individual.
Yeah, yeah, and-
Some people, I think even the treasurer, they used to have their own policy.
Right.
Years back.
right, but yeah, according to our underwriter at Kerma, who does our insurance, and our insurance consultant, Dan, yeah, our crime policy covers, and we have adequate coverage, or, not adequate's not the right word, we have the necessary coverage that we need to protect the town, and,
But we did stray a little bit, but I just something to keep in mind, something for the future, I still think we're not covered well enough as far as management team in place for that amount of money.
yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I think for a $12 million budget, it behooves the Board of Education to look at a strong management program and have a strong business manager in there. Because as I've said from day one, I'd like to see a strong business management in there, if only so they can drive efficiencies in the organization, so that money can go back into the classroom. And I think that's important. If you can find a person who can shape your operational expenses, so that money can go where it needs to go, I support that 100%. The more money we can get into the classroom, the better off, arguably, the better off the kids would be. So I think long-term, that's a proposal that, the current superintendent can work with. I can work with him on that and see if there's something we can develop along that ways, as well as with the Board of Education.
Are you guys gonna support an increase in the budget to, support that salary for that person?
That would have to come down, we would have to
I mean,
see, yeah, we'd have to see where that would fall. It's one of those, that would be a topic, that's a topic of discussion that you'd have to have, and you wouldn't rule anything out just because.
Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't,
I
you can't fight them on
think
their
there's-
budget, but then say they need to hire
No.
somebody who can.
I think that they're very top heavy with staff down there, just by the numbers from over the years, but to answer your question, I would. And I think at that point, this also the same team would pick out where they're heavy. You know, that school, when they opened up both of those schools, and they had the highest population in town, there was 76 staff between the two schools, everything.
Yeah, but you
It
can't,
exceeds 130 last I knew.
you can't compare that.
Why not?
now, because it's such a vastly different structure, and the requirements are so different now. What were the special education laws when they opened the
There's
school
special
versus what
education
they are
back
now?
then.
Not to the extent, there weren't mandatory
Well,
costs and
to
expenses.
the point that it
to the
increased
extent that-
100%,
What's that?
to the point that staff had to increase 100%.
To get the appropriate support and to avoid lawsuits against the school and avoid people pulling their students out? Yeah, probably.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying that there's not fat that can be cut. I mean, any business, if you're looking at it as a
That's the
business,
problem.
any business.
they don't run it like a business.
Well,
In my eye and estimation, it does not run like a business up there.
and that's through the voting process. There's a new Board of Ed that maybe they're taking things more seriously and looking into that. I've been very impressed with the new Board of Ed. I've been
Yeah.
very impressed with the new superintendent.
I have to say, the new Board of Ed's doing a great job, or my wife will kill me. Yeah. But no, it is, and the new Board of Ed is doing it, they're doing a good job. It's a tough job though, because they meet once a month. And it's a very tough job for a group of elected amateurs, much like we are. This is, I've said this repeatedly, what we have is we have government by amateur. And sometimes you learn on the fly, sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you just get lucky and things go your way. But it's tough for a board that meets once a month. But they're trying, they're doing a good job, they're working hard.
I just say that that's not enough.
Yeah.
For that amount of money handled.
Right. And that's where you need more, I would say, better oversight or better management. I'm not sure how you want to phrase it, but I think it's one of the things that definitely needs to be explored long-term to look at, to drive value out of that budget for the school.
I think you need transparency. I think you need communication between the boards. The one thing that stuck out to me about that report, and granted, I'm not going to make any excuses for the actions, but one of the things that stuck out was the comment about, well, they didn't think they could get the additional funding or the additional appropriations, so that's why they did what they did. And I think that's a sign too of just the communication between the boards at the time. They didn't trust one another. They didn't like one another. And That's not to excuse it, because you get a rogue actor up there who does something they shouldn't have done, but I think it says something that the boards need to talk, they need to communicate, they need to be open with one another.
That was
Because-
a fraudulent act. There was several people were involved in it.
But there's a catalyst to it. I mean, I think that's my point. And not to say it wouldn't have happened otherwise, but for every, every act like that, you look at, well, what was the cause of it? And it sounds like the impression from that report, the cause of it was a lack of trust, that they didn't think they could go back to the Board of Finance to get the money, so they took an action. And it was the wrong action. And I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying that something we can take away from it is continue on with these tri-board meetings, even though this aspect is done, keep the communication open so we can have that discussion.
Yeah, well, the tri-board meetings are going nowhere. Those are important. I think with the new board, there's better communication between particularly the Board of Finance and the Board of Education. We're sort of out of that loop because they need to communicate with them. I think the new superintendent is very willing, Steve's very willing to come, to meet, to communicate. So that's moving forward in the right direction.
So as far as this goes, so that we can make a washout of our hands on it, do you want to vote to accept it?
Yeah, I look at it and we know what happened. We know what happened. The folks that made it happen and are gone. Not all of them. No. Yeah, I need a caveat there. I don't think it's gonna happen again. I think we made it quite clear, through our office to the current superintendent and to the current Board of Education, what our expectations are in terms of their adhering to the state statutes, the town ordinances, and such. So I have a good feeling in that respect. So I am, while it's not perfect, it's not 100%, I think it's time, we almost have to move on. We know what happened. It better not happen again. We don't expect it to happen again. I think if we maintain, as John's been saying, the current level of communication that we have and the cooperative nature, not to say that when we get the budget season, we're not all going to beat each other up, because I just invested in the new Teflon set of underwear. So I'm ready for them to come at me. But I think we'll be there. I think we will be able to continue with this. So yeah, I'm willing to say, accept it, move forward, learn from past mistakes, and hope and work to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future.
So an audit is done.
Yeah.
Just wanted to hear it.
Yeah, I say put it to bed, and we will learn, and they will learn, and
Yeah, we don't have to.
yeah, they will learn. Yeah, but
We don't have to learn.
they will learn. But I do hope that the current level of communication and support and cooperation, continues. I will say this: I talk to Steve probably on a weekly basis, and we keep informed, and so I hope that continues. And I think he wants to do a good job here, and so yeah, we'll put that to bed. Yes, and we can move on. Yep. It will sleep fitfully in that bed, but it'll be put to bed. Now, don't be in such a rush. We still got one more item on here. All right, item number 7, set town meeting date for February 25th, 2021 at 7 p.m. here in the Town Hall Community Road. That will be essentially, I think the one item on that agenda will be the Tar Box Road. For lack of a better term, I'm going to call it land swap with the American Industries in New York, the town of Canterbury, as we've talked about before, with the road, rebuild Tar Box Road and bring it down to grade, so it meets the current grade with the gravel operations that have been paid out. So we talked about that, we've approved it, they've come here and presented to us, but now it has to go to town meeting for town approval. So are we good with that February 25th date? That's a Thursday.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'll get that. I'll get a notice. That will be a hybrid meeting. We'll be here in person, but we'll also have it out there on Zoom for people to join in. So it'll be a hybrid meeting.
That was
And,
one question that you
yeah, and we'll
asked.
see how
How
that.
we end up, so.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to weigh in On Zoom then.
They can weigh in on Zoom. Yeah, we've got
There will
a,
be no in-person.
we could have in person, it'll be hybrid, yeah, we could have in person, if
Okay.
people wanna come in en masse, that's fine, yes, that actually makes for easier, discussion, but we'll have both. and,
I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, so we'll have folks who can Zoom in, they can join the town meeting that way and vote.
What's that, Friday?
That's a Thursday. Thursday, February 25th. Okay, so we'll set that, we'll make sure that gets noticed. I spoke to, or sent an email to Rich Cody today, I gave him a heads up when the date was, and I think just because it's a complicated issue, I hate to spend money, but I'll probably just have him draft the meeting notice for the agenda, so it's spelled out correctly as to what's going on there. We get that, so we can wrap that up at that point, I hope. Public comment. We don't have any. There's usually selectmen's comments on here, but Patty edited. But we'll add in selectmen's comments. We'll start down there. John, anything?
Just
It didn't work.
thank you to the road crews. I think they did an awesome job with the storm. Seems like we did all right. I didn't hear anything about power outages, were we?
Yeah, we didn't have any power outages that I saw, and the road crew, they had an interesting night. We had one truck go off the road, which they took 2 trucks to pull it back on the road. We had 1 truck have a rear wheel fall
Yikes.
off. And so, but it is, I was talking to Mark about it, and I'll say, and Mark knows a lot more about heavy equipment than I ever will, or no. I said, what's interesting is we've had 2 biggish snowstorms, and they usually, you'll have 1 a week or pretty close to it. They're still knocking the rust off. I mean, this was really their second go out in a big storm, and they're kind of knocking the rust off. I think Mark said literally the rust and wheels off. But they were out all night and cleaned it up, and yeah, it was a heavy snow. I know I shoveled, because I have a small driveway, I'll go out and just shovel quickly. I went out 9, 10 o'clock at night and fine, and I woke up again about 2 o'clock. I went out and it was raining and it was heavy, so I said, well, this is about this much snow. I said, we can drive through that. And, we left it. Yeah,
I don't know if there's any correlation between your electric rates going up and the power staying on finally during a snowstorm.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a windy storm. I was shoveling it. I was watching the tops of the spruce trees next to my house swinging in the wind, and it was blowing pretty good. Yeah.
There's something unsettling when you hear them cracking.
Yeah.
When you're out there. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one. But yeah, they were out. They plugged away at it. The following day, we actually kept the transfer station closed because of the issues they had. They didn't get a chance to clean up the transfer station, so we kept it closed to the public. And Bill and Dan went up there and shoveled out. So for all those that were concerned, it'll be open tomorrow, regular operating hours, all cleaned up and ready to go. And yeah, so Mark.
No, I think we're doing good. The budget and the fire department, everything will come into play and
Yeah.
see what happens with that. The library, I think they're all set, right?
Yeah, I think everything, we'll see, the next meeting will start, I'll inform, I know rec department, I've already informed them, they wanna come in and present their budget, I'll let the library know. And the fire department will do budget presentations, from departments at the next meeting. I'll let Sid know too, he can bring down the, public works budget. It's always nice, I think, to have them do that. It really wasn't done in the past, but I like the folks that are actually presenting, requesting that funding to take ownership of it. It's important for them to take ownership of it. Just as a side note, Dwayne Gates, who's the International Operating Engineers Union, he does their negotiating. It's a negotiating year. It's a contract year for DPW. It's a contract year for the town hall employees. So that's going to be coming around pretty quick. Dwayne and I have a good working relationship. He's a selectman down in Deep River, as well as being working for the union. And we have some interesting negotiations, but they're usually fair and honest, and we try to get the best deal for everyone that we can. I won't do the COVID update because I'm waiting. Because I'm still waiting. And I hope everybody, the two people watching, I hope they don't have a Super Bowl super spreader event. I was saying to someone the other day, I said, this is gonna be interesting to see, because for many people, Super Bowl is bigger than Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter rolled into one. And so I can imagine, a couple weeks after, we'll see another spike in cases. I hope not, but yeah, it is, and you can't, what are you gonna do? You hope by now people understand what their actions, the consequences of them are. On that note, I say what, motion to adjourn, and it is, it's like 7:34. All right, thank you, gentlemen, good night, good luck.
Yeah, I think as far as